What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match review stream for you guys today. If you are new around here, go to our brand new website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk. Link is in the description for all your latest Tottenham articles. But if you do get a bit of noise interference, there's a bit of works going on outside, taking down the scaffolding after fixing the roof. But after this, it should be.
They've just been doing so much climbing, being Tottenham right at the top of the league. That's why they're going to take it down.
Exactly. Let's hope we don't have to put the scaffolding again to take us off the top of the league. But Spurs are sitting top of the league after a 2-0 win against Fulham yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And we'll get into the match review first and then get into the player ratings, 5 takeaways, and see how Twitter reacted to the game as well. But in terms of the match review, I thought it was a really professional job from Spurs yesterday. Obviously, Hojbjerg comes in for the suspended Bissouma, and I thought he did a really stellar job in the middle of the park there, spraying the ball about like he was prime Kevin De Bruyne at times, Pierre, yesterday, and I thought he did a really important job for the team. A lot of fans were worried maybe about Hojbjerg coming in and how we're going to react to Bissouma being out of the team, but I thought he did a stellar job really in the middle of the park. But in terms of the first half, I thought we were much better in the first half than maybe we were in the second half. Some really good football. Richarlison was central to things yesterday. I thought in the first half he made a real positive impact into the team out on that left-hand side. But I thought maybe second half, did we take our foot off the gas a little bit?
I would say so, and I think Ange had that assessment as well. I don't think Fulham did anything too much different in that second half. I think it was more Tottenham's drop-off rather than Fulham improving in the second half, which led to a bit of a disjointed performance, especially in the last 17 minutes after we made those substitutions. When we had a lot of changes, we definitely looked a bit disjointed. But let's concentrate on the first half for the time being. I thought we came out of the blocks, I wouldn't say flying, but very controlled. And I thought we were the ones clearly on top and in control of the game. Fulham had that early chance from a corner. João Paulinho gets a header in, and it's a brilliant save from Vicario. And he seems every week we're saying, against run of play, he's having to make a save or two, which at crucial times keep us in the game and stop us from conceding goals. If we go 1-0 down at that stage, it becomes a very different game and a much more difficult affair. So that was a crucial save, but after that, it only did seem a matter of time before Tottenham were going to score. We did open them up a few times. I thought Maddison plays a lovely through ball to Son, who probably should have done a bit better with his finish, and Leno makes a good save. There was some really beautiful football on the left-hand side between Richarlison and Udogie, and it falls to Kulusevski. He could have had a goal. Son as well again had another opportunity on the edge of the box after some more good work from Maddison. Maddison was just the hub of everything good in that first half from Spurs. Every time he got the ball, his creative passing, and he seems to have this disguise in his pass as well, which makes it very hard for the opposition to know where he's going to put the ball. And I think
it's not just that though. It's like the anticipation of the pass as well. Like sometimes he delays it a little bit and it's pinpoint. Sometimes he just goes for the one touch and really hard passes through the lines. And literally everything good that Spurs do comes from James Maddison, whether it's deep, kind of in the opposition half towards the halfway line, or it's really high up the pitch. He is just everywhere at the moment. And he spoke about during midweek saying he's in the form of his life. And I couldn't agree more. I think he's by far the best player in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, he just hasn't had a bad game. He's literally putting 8s and 9s out of 10 every single week, which is absolutely amazing to see. But yeah, in that first half, it did look like it was a matter of time before we scored, albeit I think Fulham were defending quite well. I think what was the difference was how relentless we were in penning Fulham in that first half. They couldn't get an out ball. They had a couple of counter-attacks which we dealt with pretty effectively. Romero and Van de Ven pretty much had it on lockdown. But apart from those couple of occasions, it was literally relentless pressure from Tottenham, and it told after a point. Bassi plays a ball out from the back. Van de Ven comes in with a really good interception, plays it to Richarlison. He gives it to lays off to a really good pass to Heung-min Son, and Heung-min Son's finish. Obviously, we know he can do that 9-day, but I think what really made the goal is just that little delay on the shot, which opened up the space, because you can see that Tim Ream was so worried about him getting that effort on. He had to slide in, make the challenge. And it allowed Son just to step into the space, open it up and give him a clearer effort on goal. And bam, we know in that position he's going to find the corner more often than not. And it was a brilliant goal. And we deserved that 1-0 lead. And If anything, after that goal, we had a couple of chances as well. Kulusevski had a decent chance after Romero does his best Maddison impression with a brilliant through ball. And Kulusevski kind of muddled that one and went for a pass instead of a shot, which probably should have done better with. And then we go into half-time 1-0 up. And obviously, we're happy with 1-0 up. The only disappointment was in that first half was it wasn't more than one.
Yeah, that was the disappointment for me, because with so much dominance in that first half, when, like you say, everything that you say is absolutely spot on, had them penned in. Maddison was the magic man throughout. Richarlison was impacting the game well. Sonny and the Maddison link up is there for all to see. I was disappointed that we weren't more than 1-0 up at half-time, and I was also disappointed that we didn't come out in the second half maybe the same as we did in the first half. Do you think that maybe there was a bit of complacency in there from Spurs in the second half?
I would say more. Well, to be fair, there was a bit of sloppy passing even before the second goal. So maybe you have a point, but we did get that second goal. I think I wouldn't say I would say maybe complacency when we had the ball, and I think that's what Ange pointed out as well. I think when we had the ball, it was just very lethargic. It was like we weren't concentrating on building up from the back. It was like we were just so hell-bent on getting the ball forward as quickly as possible, and we were being so wasteful when we were rushing things. Where in that first half, we were much more patient, much more willing to play the ball around and open up the space. And it was very peculiar what happened. But look, we did get that second goal. And funnily enough, the second goal was actually a bit of a carbon copy of the first goal. Yeah. Ball comes out from the back again from Fulham. This time it's Hojbjerg making the interception. He plays it quickly to Son. He lays it into Maddison, and it's 2-0. At 2-0, as much as we were sloppy and we definitely lost a bit of control of the game, I never really felt like the result was in danger. Again, Vicario had to make a save from Jimenez in that second half, which was a crucial moment. Maybe if the game goes for 2-1, it's a bit of a nervy ending for us, but that was a big save. But apart from those couple of that moment, Fulham didn't really have too much to really hurt us. Wilson maybe had a breakaway where he could have been in on goal, but he took too long to get the shot off and it was blocked. And I think at some point as well, you have to give a bit of credit to our defence. I know Fulham are kind of toothless in the forward line. They proved that again yesterday. In the forward line, they just didn't really offer much, but we defended exemplary, I think, throughout the game. As much as we were wasteful on the ball and we weren't maybe doing the right things in possession, I don't think anyone can complain about how we were out of possession, because I thought we were aggressive, we were organised.
The pressing was good.
And the pressing was good. As Ange said, he said for 90 minutes the pressing was good. So I think defensively, that was where probably we saw out the game.
And those goals that we scored, what you were saying about Hojbjerg and Van de Ven winning the ball back in the middle of the park, that is like a hallmark of an Ange Postecoglou team, isn't it? How many times have we seen it this season? Maybe we haven't scored from every time, but we've scored for quite a few of them where we win the ball back in those areas of the pitch and then bang, we're in on goal and we score or we have a good chance. I mean, it's so good to see Spurs being so aggressive in every area of the pitch. Not just the midfield, but I thought Cuti Romero yesterday put in another stunning display from the back. Cool, calm, collective, aggressive when he needed to be, getting the ball up the pitch when he needed to. I don't think Cuti put a foot wrong throughout the whole game yesterday, and I think equal credit, maybe just a little bit less, goes to Mickey Van de Ven as well yesterday. Both of them are striking up such an unbelievable relationship on the football pitch. I can't wish for any better kind of synergies between the two, because I think both of them are absolutely unbelievable. And Van de Ven could have gotten the score sheet again yesterday with that volley in the first half, which just went over the bar. And he made a couple of really important challenges the other way as well. So I thought both of them, and the amount of times over the past few years we've complained about the defence, it's so refreshing to talk about the defence in this way with the two centre-backs and the two full-backs as well, with Udogie and Porro, who I thought all four of them had absolutely stunning games yesterday.
Yeah, and I think defensively we were completely on point. And I think, as you say about Van de Ven and Romero, it's just so nice to have a solid, not even solid, it seems like an incredible centre-back partnership together again for the first time in a long time, and they seem to complement each other so well. They're like the yin to each other's yang in a few respects. And I think yesterday again, Romero, on the ball as much as off the ball, he was a shining light in the team with his progressive passing. There was one point in the first half where he ran pretty much the whole length of the pitch and then even had the quality to play a through ball to Kulusevski as well and create an opportunity. Van de Ven was sweeping up anything that came his way on any sort of counter-attacks. The amount of times Fulham looked like they were going to be in a dangerous spot, and then Van de Ven comes like a steam train and just clears everything out and wins the ball back. And it was absolutely impeccable. Fulham really struggled to get past them, to be honest. And the two chances they did create, one of them was from a corner and the other one was from a mistake from Kulusevski, which led to an opportunity for Jimenez, which was saved from Vicario. So I think in general play, very little they were giving up to this Fulham side. And I know Fulham, to be fair, are probably one of the worst sides at the moment going forward. So I don't think it's too much to shout about to keep a clean sheet against them. But you can only play what's in front of you, and they did their job exceptionally well. And I think that's what probably third clean sheet or fourth clean sheet this season. We're now second in the league for goals conceded in terms of the least goals conceded to Man City, and that's a testament to how well they've adapted together, Romero and Van de Ven, in terms of defensively. Because there's much we can talk about Udogie and Porro, and they've also been very good out wide, but it really does come from those two, the organisation and then solidity, and without those two playing as well as they have, our defensive record wouldn't be half as good.
Yeah, but also what you got to say about that is the impeccable form of the imperious form of Vicario, the goalkeeper. I mean, how many times has he saved us this season with just unbelievable saves? I mean, that one-handed save yesterday was just unbelievable. And, you know, the nature of how we play, leaving gaps at the back, kind of very courageous football, you're going to get chances that are going to be thrown against you. And for a keeper to come in his first season in the Premier League, first 9 games, to be one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, in my opinion, the best. I don't have high enough praise for Vicario, because I think he's just been unbelievable. And in those moments where the ball does get past Romero and Van de Ven, he's there every single time. Yeah,
and that shows with his save percentage, 84%, which is the best in the Premier League. And that is so crucial when you play the way that we do, because as you say, we're going to be conceding chances, and that makes it even more crucial that it's almost like, in a way, every save is a bit like a goal in a way, because you're the ones dominating possession, right? And it means that if you do concede chances, a lot of the time they are going to be good quality chances, and they're going to be good opportunities for the opposition to score. So the more times that you can stop those, when those good quality chances happen, the more times you stop them, that's going to put even more pressure on the opposition, because you're going to go back to being in control and creating the chances. So it's almost like those big saves can be as good as a goal sometimes when it comes to Vicario. And yesterday, that save from Paulinho, I mean, I don't think in real time it does it justice, because I think if you look at the replay, he almost has to claw it from behind him. It's almost behind him, almost past him with that header. It was a brilliant header from Paulinho. You've got to give him credit for that. But I think he thought he scored as well. But it was an unbelievable one-handed save from Vicario, and it's adding to a long list of good saves he's been making so far this season. And he's been unbelievable since the first day of the season, and he's been getting better and better each week. And I don't think we can ask for much more from him, to be honest, because he's just been sensational when called upon, and it's so crucial that he makes those big saves at those big times, because that's what's enabling us to maintain control of the game a lot of the time. And also, it's very important when oppositions could potentially create good opportunities. If he makes those big saves, it just gives us even more opportunity to go and increase the pressure on the opposition.
And we wax lyrical about James Maddison every week, and rightly so. But we also have to wax lyrical, who we have been waxing lyrical about all season. But again, yesterday, Heung-min Son. So clinical, goal and assist yesterday, captain's performance. His link up with James Maddison is just so good. Those little touches and flicks that he does throughout the game. I feel like game by game, he's growing even more into this number 9 role.
100%, and he's a big part. Like, everyone talk about how Maddison has stepped in Kane's absence, but I think in terms of goal scoring, I don't think we could ask for much more from him. He's on 7 goals in 9 games, 8 goal contributions after his assist yesterday as well.
Only 2 behind Haaland.
2 behind Haaland. He's really stepping up. And we've been saying it all season, when you get Son in those positions, he is the best finisher in the Premier League, bar none. And I think, again, he proved it with that finish.
What a football.
You just know, when he gets to that position, as soon as he got that yard, you know it's finding the corner. There's no doubt in your mind that when he gets that shot off, he is as clinical as anyone. And kind of substitute, it's like we've basically taken away Kane out of the team, and you've got Kane's finishing in Son, and you've got Kane's creativity in Maddison there, and we've kind of made up for it in that way. And I think Son as a central striker is really showing what he's all about this season. We know he's played that role before, but I really feel like it's becoming his best position, like undoubtedly now, being in that striker position. I think a lot of people had doubts about, when he plays up front, can he handle it against more physical defenders, all that kind of stuff. But he's definitely been adapting his game. He's been making more smarter runs in tighter spaces. For example, that chance he had right at the beginning of the game where Maddison plays a lovely through ball to him and he's one-on-one and he couldn't quite get the finish off. Those kind of things, those little pockets of space, he's starting to find a lot more, whereas maybe in previous seasons, if he did play up front, he would struggle to find them against organised defences. And that goes to show, for me, that he's really adapting to this striker position. And if you've got a finish like Son, and then he's adding things to his game, like those little layoffs like he was doing yesterday, not only just for the Maddison goal, which was a really good assist, but how many times the ball gets fizzed into Son, he's just doing a little touch off to a teammate and allowing them to progress the ball. Those little things are things that I was really maybe worried about when it comes to Son in the forward line. Like, is his build-up play going to be good enough? Is he going to be able to hold up the ball and bring other players into play like maybe Kane was able to do?
Getting better and better all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And he's really showing that he can step up and do this role for the team. Obviously, he's not going to be able to out-muscle defenders and chest the ball down like Kane does and hold off players in that way.
He's stronger than people give him credit for, though.
Yeah, he's not weak. He's not weak, but he's obviously not like Kane strength, but he's doing things in a smarter way, in a different way, and he's just playing to his own strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do worry, though, like, if him or Maddison do get injured, because I think we lose a lot if either one of them go off, to be honest. Maddison, like you said before, is the hub of the whole team, and can we win games? Can we score goals without Maddison in the team? Can we win games and score goals without Sonny in the team? I question it.
Yeah, I mean, them two are the real quality when it comes to like putting the ball in the back of the net and then creating chances. We know that. So without them in the team, it would be an adjustment. I think the way we play, if let's say they both were out for an extended period of time, I don't think it would be a case of, we just wouldn't score for months. I don't think that would be the case. I think we would have enough quality to be able to get goals. But I think they have supreme ability. They're two of the best in the league, not just in the Tottenham team. They're two of the best in the league at what they do. No, there's not many better number 10s in the league than Maddison. There's no better finisher, in my opinion, in the league than Heung-min Son. So obviously taking that quality out of the team would be a massive downgrade. But with people like Brennan Johnson or Lo Celso to fill in those kind of situations, I do think we have players who could get us goals or provide us chances. Maybe not to the level of Son and Maddison, but definitely to a decent level to keep us competitive and keep us in a situation where we doesn't mean we have to go into these games thinking how we're going to score. I still think we'll have goals in this team, but obviously they're the two in the best. You can say about our City is good when they don't have De Bruyne. I would probably say no, but they're still a good team. You know what I mean? So
I don't think it's as warranted for Man City as it is for Spurs, because you see with Man City without De Bruyne, I think Rodri is the one which really makes them lacking to perform as a team. But you see De Bruyne has been out and they won their first 6 games, Man City, and they're scoring goals. I mean,
but I don't think they're as good without him.
Yeah, fine, not as good, fine, but I don't think it has as much of an impact as if Maddison was out for Spurs.
I see, we don't know that yet. We don't know. We haven't seen it.
That's my opinion, what I think would happen.
Yeah, maybe. But I still think we can win games without Maddison. I don't think we're relying on him to win games. But when he's playing, I think we look to him 100%, and he's the hub of the team, and he's that good, you can look to him. But a bit like how when Kane came out, other players stepped up. Maybe when Maddison comes out, maybe other players will step up, like Lo Celso or whatever.
I'd like to see Kulusevski maybe
Kulusevski. That we have options. It's not like we have no one. So yes, I would be massively concerned if Maddison or Son picked up a long-term injury. Don't get me wrong, but I do think we have options there, not to be thinking like the world's ending if it happens.
Yeah, the world definitely won't be ending, that's for sure. But in terms of some other players I want to talk about, Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg came in for the suspended Maddison yesterday. In my opinion, he was one of the best players on the pitch yesterday. I thought he put an absolutely unbelievable performance. In the post-match, when I called into the fan show yesterday, I said he was my man in the match, but on reflection, I'm going to give it to Maddison, because I just thought Maddison was just insane yesterday. Everything that he did was to such a high level. But with Hojbjerg yesterday, the way he was just controlling that midfield, spraying the ball around right and left. I mean, the number of long balls that he did yesterday, I think the stat was like 4 out of his 5 long balls were successful yesterday. And I felt like he does that to an even better level than what Bissouma's been doing it for pretty much all season. But what we kind of lose with Hojbjerg that we don't than we have with Bissouma is the way to drive through that centre of the park with that dribbling ability. So I'm by no stretch of the imagination do I think Pierre should be starting ahead of Bissouma. But what he did yesterday was such a good work for the team, helped us get that second goal as well, winning it in the middle of the park, being aggressive. And I think it shows that, yes, that we can play without Bissouma.
I mean, Hojbjerg's a good player. We know he's a good player. And even though we didn't have Bissouma, we know that Hojbjerg's good enough to come in a game like this against a Fulham at home and be more than good enough to step in and be part of the team to win us the game. And we know he's a good player. Albeit, is he a player that, do we have question marks whether he's perfect for what we want to do under Postecoglou? I think those question marks, especially against better teams, are still there in my opinion. But look, I got no complaints about him yesterday. I think he does things in a different way to Bissouma. He's a different player. He doesn't have the qualities that Bissouma does when it comes to dribbling ability, press resistance. So what he has to do is use his passing range. And he obviously defensively, at times he can be just as good as Bissouma in the number 6, especially against a team like Fulham. He can definitely be just as dominant in that faction of the game. We know he's a very combative midfielder who can do a lot of stuff off the ball. But on the ball, whereas Bissouma will look to drive and open up the space with a dribble cutting right through the heart of a midfield, Hojbjerg will look to use his progressive passing to open up the game, and that's how he does things. And so you can use both methods are equally viable. When Ange was at Celtic, he had, who was it in the centre? Callum McGregor, was it?
Callum McGregor, yeah.
So he was more of a passer. He wasn't a guy like Bissouma who likes to dribble. Bissouma is a very unique player. Not many players in the Premier League have what Bissouma can do. It's very rare to find that and someone to do it as good as Bissouma. So obviously, Ange's system doesn't rely on having someone like Bissouma who with that rare skill set. The fact Bissouma can do what he do is just a bonus. It's just an added to what the system can do under Postecoglou. So when you have a functional player like Hojbjerg, of course he can play that role. Of course he can come in and do the role of a number 6 in a Postecoglou system, because Postecoglou's system doesn't rely on Bissouma's dribbling ability. The number 6 has to have the job of breaking up play and then progressing the ball whatever way that is best for that player. Now, Bissouma's way is driving through the heart of the midfield with his dribbling, but with Hojbjerg, it's with his passing ability, and we know he's got a good passing range. Even last season he showed it, so it's no surprise to me that he showed it yesterday. And let's be honest, I know Paulinho is a very good player, and I actually think Paulinho had a great game yesterday, but Spurs will have tougher tests. If Hojbjerg came into a game against a better team, we'll see how he does. But he did brilliant yesterday, and I was absolutely delighted. And it shows that we've got good strength and depth in that position. Yeah,
midfield is definitely our most stocked position. I think we're blessed with the options that we have there. Pape Matar again, I thought had a really good first half anyway. I thought first half he was absolutely everywhere. Second half he did kind of diminish out the game and got taken off on the hour mark. Richarlison, I thought as well, was very involved in that first half, but again in the second half he did go a bit missing. I don't know if that was down to him or maybe what you were saying with Spurs just keep trying to go direct and not play the football that we were playing in the first half. Do you think that had to do with maybe Richarlison diminishing out the game?
Potentially. He had that one chance, didn't he, which he skied it over the bar in that second half, which I think Son laid it on for him. But other than that, he was a bit anonymous. First half, I was pretty happy with him. I thought he was linking up really well with Udogie. He was actually part of some of the free-flowing footballing moves that we were capable of in that first half. And obviously, he got a really crucial assist for the first goal, which was a really nice pass into Humansson. Quick thinking as well. He had to react quickly to that interception from Van de Ven, and that allowed us to get the first goal. And I think to be fair to him, I think his form, I've been saying it, I think his form has been improving slightly over the past few weeks. I think he's slowly building up his confidence back. I know just before the international break against Luton, he maybe didn't have his best half and missed a few chances. But the one thing about Richarlison, which it goes under the radar, but is he's just getting more involved in things. In the first few games of the season, my biggest criticism of Richarlison wasn't that he was missing chances or that he was or that his quality wasn't good enough in front of goal anyway. My biggest criticism was he was just anonymous. He wasn't getting involved in the game. He wasn't getting on the ball. He wasn't being threatening. And now he's doing those things.
Do you feel like his position change out to the left wing has enabled that?
Potentially, maybe being under less pressure from centre backs up your backside and stuff like that. Maybe that is helping him having that breathing space out wide to maybe take people on, and maybe not having the pressure of being the focal point has helped him a bit. And we know he can play on the left hand side. Everyone has kept saying ever since he's come to Tottenham that he's a number 9. He can't play on the wing. And whenever he's played out wide, everyone's saying, "Oh, the reason he's playing badly is he's played out of position. You play him up front, he's a different player." I've always thought, in my opinion, some of his best games for Everton were always on the left. I always thought. I felt like, in fact, when he first came to Everton, he was a left winger, and he only started playing up front because they had injuries. And the reason why he kept his position is because he was playing so well in the forward line that they just kept him up front. But he was actually more generally, I wouldn't say a left winger, but more of a left forward, I would say, at Everton. And that's where I thought a lot of his better performances came from. And I think when it comes to him being a striker, he can do that role, but he's more of a penalty box striker. He's not one who gets really involved in the build-up play. He's one who's a bit of a nuisance. He likes to close people down. He's a really hard worker, but his general play when it comes to holding the ball up, keeping the ball away from centre-backs and stuff like that, I've never really been a massive fan of. I think he's pretty good when you get crossed in the box, and his finishing can be good, and heading as well. That's where his strengths lie. But when we're playing the way we want to play, I think him being on the left does make a bit more sense, and it means he does get a bit more time on the ball. Maybe he can take people on a bit more, which maybe he wants to. I don't think he's the best chance creator, but he has been getting more assists, and maybe that's something he's getting better at as the games go on. So I think Richarlison's improving. I'm not saying he's setting the world alight or anything. I don't think he's been incredible over the last few games.
First half was probably his best 45-minute period of the season.
Potentially. Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I don't think he was I'm seeing him getting a lot of praise, and I'm happy for him because I think the better he does, he deserves praise. I don't think he's been absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say he's been getting 8s to 9s out of 10s in the last few weeks. But what I would say is in the beginning of the season, he was getting maybe 3s and 4s, and now he's getting 7s and 8s potentially. So it's a big improvement.
Yeah, it feels like he's getting acclimatized to this team. Like week by week, he is getting better, and that's all we can ask for Richarlison, is to keep improving, keep getting better, and I think he's doing that. So credit to him. But let's finish off talking about Kulusevski. I'm seeing a lot of kind of words about Kulusevski's performance yesterday, about his lack of end product once again. I do think he did good work for the team, as he always does, with his ball retention and trying to get the ball high up the pitch and create. But I did feel like his end product was a bit poor yesterday. Yeah, it was, again, I thought when he had to make a pass, I thought he was decent. He set up a chance for Richarlison. He set up another one for Son as well. I thought when he got to the byline, he was asked to create an opportunity. He did okay, but for some reason, he just really doesn't want to shoot. And I don't understand why he's so reluctant to shoot in really good positions. A couple of occasions, there was one where Romero plays that lovely through ball to him, and he's on his left foot, cutting inside. You're thinking, I know there are players in front of him, but you're thinking perfect opportunity to maybe just get a shot off and get a shot on target, and could even got a goal. And he decides to lay off for Son probably who was in a worse position, and the chance goes begging. He had another opportunity in the second half where it was on the edge of the box. He cuts inside, doesn't have too many players in front of him, perfect angle to shoot, and he hesitates and he makes for the pass. So I think he's got a good shot on him, and I don't know why he doesn't have the confidence in himself to make more use of it. I would say when he has been shooting this season, his shooting boots haven't been there. His shots have been a bit weak, but I've seen him take really good shots in his Spurs career, and I've seen what he's capable of before his Spurs career.
Yeah, I've seen what he's capable of. So I don't understand what's going on with him when it comes to that lack of just taking those opportunities or trying shots. But when it comes to his dribbling ability, ball retention on that right-hand side, getting into the penalty box, which, has been a consistent theme for Kulusevski this season. He's still doing a stellar job, and I thought Robertson found it really tough to deal with him yesterday. So as much as, again, we want improvement, I'm still pretty happy with him.
All right, so there you have it. That is our match review from Spurs 2, Fulham 0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs go 2 points clear at the top of the league and have the chance to go 5 points clear this weekend as Spurs do kick off the Premier League weekend Friday night at Selhurst Park. But thank you everyone for joining the match review. Let's go on to a couple of super chats before we move on. And Amir says, big up everyone. Let's enjoy being top of the league while staying focused and prepared for Palace. Ange has simply transformed our club. Pure magic. And there's not been a truer word said, has there, from Amir?
100%. Couldn't agree more.
And Timmy Schnitzel with the super chat says, without getting carried away, having played of half the teams, is it not time to finally declare that Tottenham are genuine title contenders?
I would love to, but I'm not going to do it just yet. It's 9 games. Things change very quickly. There's a very small points gap between us and the chasing pack at the moment. I know it can make it 5 points on Friday, but we still have to win that game. So there's nothing given about that at the moment. I think I'm more interested in the gap now we've built between us and 6th place, because I think that's 7 points now.
But I would say, if we can get through until the international break unscathed, and let's say maybe 1 draw in there maximum, after the international break, we have got a really hard run of fixtures. Really hard. I think we play Man City, West Ham, Aston Villa, and there's one other team in there, Newcastle as well. So that's going to be a really difficult period for us. And let's say if we're still in and amongst it in around the next 8 games, then I would start talking about that kind of stuff. But right now, it's way too early, I think.
I'm not going to start talking about it till February, March time. And if we're seriously in the top 2 or in a race come that time, considering we have no Europe and all the other teams are still going to be most likely in and amongst that battle with European football.
Get carried away soon.
I'm not going to look. I know he does, but I'm just saying what I'm seeing. I'm looking at the gap between us and 6th place, which means, if let's say 5th is going to be Champions League, the gap between us and 5th place is 7 points. Now, everyone said at the beginning of the season, Champions League football was the aim. I'm still looking at the top 5.
Everyone said Europa League was the aim.
Or Europa League, or Champions League would have been an amazing season, let's say. So at the moment, we've now built ourselves after 9 games a 7-point buffer between us and 6th place, which means right now we're in an extremely strong position after 9 games to get into that top 5. So I'm absolutely delighted with that, and I think that's definitely what to take away right now. To be 2 points clear of Man City after 9 games doesn't mean a thing. That can change in a week, let alone over a long stretch of games. So we're not title contenders just yet, but again, if we can keep up this form consistently, keep playing the way we are, and then come February, March time, we're really in and amongst it, considering we're only going to have 1 game a week, I think there's definitely a conversation to have around that time. But right now, it's way too early.
I agree with it's way too early, but, as the games progress, as the wins keep clocking up, it's hard not to dream.
Of course, we're all dreaming, and who knows? Look, you never know. You can't rule it out. As much as you can't say definitely yes, you can't say definitely no, and that's something.
Let's move on and let's do the player ratings, and let's start off with our goalkeeper, Venom Vicario. 8s all round for Vicario, and I thought he was another brilliant display from him yesterday. Some really important saves, especially the one in the first half from the corner from Palhinha's header. I thought it was a top save with one hand. There was a couple of moments playing out from the back were a bit nervy from Vicario yesterday, but all in all, I thought he had a brilliant game.
Yeah, there was one moment in the first half, wasn't there, where I think he made a dodgy pass and they nearly got something out of it, but luckily nothing came of it. But again, 2 crucial saves at 2 crucial times. That Palhinha save, for me, one of the saves of the season. How he clawed it out from that position through a sea of bodies as well was exceptional. At 2-0, where Fulham were looking to get back in the game, Jimenez goes through and he makes a brilliant save. So again, it's happened a few times this season where we're in control of the game and then the opposition get a big opportunity which could have really changed the flow of the game and the momentum, and he makes a big save and prevents that from happening. And that's all you can ask for from a goalkeeper when you're playing in a team who's going to dominate possession and going to be in control of the game for a lot. You need your goalkeeper to stay alert, stay awake, and sometimes you see it even with like Edison. Sometimes like City is so in control, he just switches off sometimes and makes a mistake, and all of a sudden that goal can change the game. But Vicario has just been absolutely impeccable on that front, and he proved it again yesterday.
Absolutely. Let's move on to Mickey van de Ven. Sim gave him an 8. I gave him a 9. Absolutely stellar performance again. Imperious performance from Mickey van de Ven. I thought defensively, nothing really got past him apart from that one little mishap later in the game in the second half. Look, the stats bear out. I mean, 5 clearances, 1 interception, 2 tackles. Nothing really got past him, and also he was aggressive enough to forage up the pitch to impact that first goal. He wins the ball back in the middle of the park, gets it to Richarlison, and Spurs go 1-0 up with that lovely finish from Heung-min Son. 3 of his 5 ground duels as well were successful. So Mickey van de Ven growing and growing as well again.
Yeah, another near faultless display from him. And I thought, as you say, really important impact to that first goal. And that's what I really like about Van de Ven. As much as he's calm and collected and he likes to sweep things that come over the top, he's also not scared to do that side of the game, step into midfield if need be and do a really high press and help the team, because he knows that he's really fast and strong. And that can be really impactful when it comes to pressing teams and opposition players high up the pitch. And it proved again against Fulham that can be a really important weapon if given the opportunity. Amount of times that the ball came over the top and he's just there sweeping behind and winning possession back easily and making it look like it's easy business to do that was exceptional again. The only bad point was he kind of got caught out a bit for the Jimenez chance, but again that was more from a Kulusevski mistake than him himself, so I'm not giving too much blame for that. But I thought again another amazing display from Van de Ven.
Cuti Romero up next. 9s all round for Cuti, and this was an astonishing display, to be honest. Yes, Fulham attack weren't too great, let's put it right, but Romero, I mean, he is just towing the line unbelievably perfectly well between being overly aggressive and having the right head on his shoulders. And I thought everything that he did yesterday was to a supreme level, to be honest. Nothing got past him. He was helping the ball get high up the pitch as well. No real fouls on the day. I thought, look, the guy is just growing and growing and growing, as well as Mickey van de Ven. And that partnership between the two is, again, growing and growing and growing. So I can't ask for more for Cuti Romero than what he's giving us at the moment. Yeah,
delighted about for him and about his improving form this season as well. And I think there's some more evidence of it. Again, he was just so commanding in the back line. He's so strong. Vinicius got hauled off at half time because he just wasn't getting a kick out of him. Jimenez only had that chance late in the game. Other than that, had nothing. Any set piece he was in control of. But it was on the ball where I was so impressed with him as well. His ability to play through the lines. He was almost like a number 10 at one point in that first half where he plays a brilliant through ball to Kulusevski, who should have done better with. He's just got so much quality, but marries it with this amazing aggression and control in the back line as well. And he's just a delight to watch. He's such an exciting centre-back to watch as well when he's in full flight like he was yesterday.
His passing so great as well.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. So another top display. And I thought in the back line he was my best player.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I just couldn't put Van de Ven on a 9 as well, to be fair. But maybe Romero deserves a 10, who knows? Yeah. But Pedro Porro, 8s all round for him. Again, another stellar display from him, and ever since coming into the team as right back for that second game of the season against Manchester United, he's another player who's just come on leaps and bounds under Ange Postecoglou. I thought defensively, I thought he was brilliant yesterday with the number of tackles and interceptions that he was making, and also impacted things going forward where I thought maybe we could have got a goal out of him or an assist out of him on the day, but it wasn't meant to be. But another really good display.
Yeah, what I really like about Porro is what I think these things go under the radar, but they go a bit unnoticed. But when teams are pressing us high and we're trying to play our way out of trouble, he's got this amazing knack of playing a pass from a deep lying position on the right hand side and setting us up on an attack with a really good quality pass under pressure. And very few players in our squad are capable of that high quality level of seeing a picture under pressure like that with a little time and able to execute it with quality and precision like Pedro Porro was able to do. And on a few occasions yesterday, he was able to play these beautiful passes from literally like the right hand side of our own penalty area and set us up on counter attacks and set us up on putting the opposition under pressure. And he's so good at doing that. And obviously defensively, he against Willian, he was pretty comfortable against him. Willian really didn't have much joy against Pedro Porro again. Didn't see too much of him when it comes to him in an attacking sense in the final third, like maybe we have done in previous weeks. But I think it doesn't matter if he's the one particularly getting involved or not. At the end of the day, we're maintaining that attacking threat, and I think that's what Ange wants. He doesn't really, as what Maddison was kind of saying in his post-match interview, said like, sometimes I'm going to be the fullback and Udogie be the number 10 and vice versa. And it doesn't matter who's in those positions as long as someone is in those positions. So for me, as much as I think Porro's got the quality to do damage in the forward line, as long as we're maintaining that threat, I'm not going to criticise him for not having that attacking threat.
And it just makes us so fluid when everyone is just so comfortable on the ball as well. But let's move on to Destiny. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. Did go off early in the second half due to, what was it, illness or being uncomfortable in one of his muscles?
He said, Postecoglou said that he felt a bit of tightness in I'm not sure what muscle it was specifically, but he said he felt a bit of tightness in the first half, and he said he'd give it another 10 minutes or so in the second half, see how he does. And then we got the second goal, so they just brought him off.
Yeah, I did think he played well yesterday. Maybe not as well as he has done in the past. Maybe 8 is a bit too much for Udogie yesterday. But I did think he had a really strong game defensively. Nothing really got past him, and his link up with Richarlison on that left flank was top notch. So big up to Udogie, another strong display.
Yeah, I think he played well. I think he was a really good outlet on the left hand side. The only reason I gave him a 7 was because I felt he probably gave a bit too many fouls away. He was making a few stupid challenges in and around.
He gave away a lot of possession as well.
He gave away a bit of possession. I think he must have given away about 3 free kicks throughout the game, and that's one thing you can't afford to give Fulham, because they can be a threat from set pieces, and he gave them a few of those. He gave them a few of those opportunities. And I think even if it was tactical, I think it could have made sense. But I don't think he had a bad game. But I just think at some points he was struggling. Maybe it was because of that injury. That was the case.
Potentially. Let's move on to the midfield, starting off with Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, 8 all round for PEH. Stepped in admirably well for the suspended Bissouma, you got to say that. And I thought the real highlight from Hojbjerg yesterday was his passing, in my opinion. The way he was spraying the ball about, something that Bissouma doesn't really do to that kind of level. So I thought it was a brilliant attribute that Hojbjerg showed for us yesterday. He was aggressive in the middle of the park. The amount of times he won the ball, he was kind of controlling things from that midfield. He definitely controlled the midfield yesterday and had his hand in the second goal, very similar to Mickey van de Ven. Pierre stepped up in the middle of the park, won the ball back, and Spurs went on their way to score their second goal and sealed off the game. So Hojbjerg should be very proud of his performance yesterday. Yeah,
delighted for him. Obviously, a lot of people, he was the headline kind of team news, obviously replacing Bissouma, who a lot of people were worried about with the 1-game ban. But I think Hojbjerg showed that there's no reason to worry, because I think he showed he can step in that number 6 and do a great job. And we know he's a good player. We know he can be a consistent good player. Even this season, I think he's been good when he's been called upon and come off the bench, and in games where we've had to see out wins and things like that, he's done a great job. So I don't think there should be any major surprise that he comes in against a team like Fulham and is able to do a good job for the team. And I think he does things in a different way to Bissouma. He's not the same player, different kind of player, but he's still very functional in that number 6. He uses his passing ability rather than his dribbling ability to progress the ball and create space. And I thought he did that to really good effect. Off the ball, defensively, we didn't really lose much with him in the team as well. I thought he was dominant in that period. And look, I think we need to give him more respect. I think he's a very good player. And I think people call him a dud and all that kind of stuff. I think that's far from the truth. I was always on record in the summer, unless we got a good offer of 30 million, I would have kept him. And this is a reason why, because we know he can step in these kind of situations.
Yeah. Let's move on to his midfield partner in Pape Matar Sarr. 7s all round for Pape. I thought it wasn't maybe as strong as it has been in previous weeks from Sarr, but still a good display nonetheless. First half, he was putting himself about massively. literally covering every blade of grass. He was everywhere in that first half. Second half, he did kind of diminish a little bit. Maybe he was tiring due to that injury or that knock that he picked up on international break. He was taken off on the hour mark, and probably rightly so, to be honest, because I think he was kind of tiring out the game, but still put in a really good display.
Yeah, I think it was, again, not one of his better ones, but I think he did a good job for the team. Wasn't really getting too involved when it comes to the attacking sense with any sort of through balls or shots on goal. But he really did do a good job for the team off the ball, which you need to do against this very strong Fulham midfield. I got not too many complaints about him, but maybe I feel like his performances in the last few weeks haven't maybe been as good as they were in the earlier few weeks. So there has maybe been a bit of decline. But look, he's a young player. That's going to happen all the time. A lot of young players always suffer with inconsistency, but I wouldn't say he's even been inconsistent because he hasn't dropped below a certain standard. He's still been pretty good, but I think he was maybe exceptional in the first few weeks and maybe hasn't been as good as he was then. But I wouldn't even be surprised that maybe if Ange considers going Basuma, Hojbjerg and Maddison next game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good options to have, let's be honest. But I think as well with Pape Matar, I think he does a lot of amazing work off the ball, like you mentioned before, that maybe goes a bit unnoticed at times. So it'll be interesting to see if we do take Sarr out the team, if we do lose that kind of aspect as much as maybe we do with him in the team. It'll be interesting to see. But let's move on to James Maddison, my man, the match. 9s all round for Mads. Another absolutely stunning display from the best performing player in the Premier League at this moment in time, in my opinion. Everything that we were doing well was coming through him yesterday, whether he was dropping deep and winning the ball back, or he was hugged high up the pitch and really impacting things. Got his goal as well with a really nice finish. He was setting up Son all day long. The amount of times he won the ball back as well in the middle of the park was absolutely sensational. And you mentioned it in the review, saying he's the hub of the team, and I think that's just the perfect way to describe him, to be honest, because everything that we do comes through him.
Yeah, and we just look for him whenever we're in the final third. We know he's the one who has a little bit of spark, a little bit of magic. And he's also, whenever we're in the heart of like a free-flowing passing move, he seems to be the one who's always in the heart of that move. And he's always at the centre of it. And that chance that Kulusevski had a blocked shot on in that first half, he was completely central in the heart of that move. He's always buzzing in and around the box, and players, what's great about him is because he's such a long shot threat, teams know they need to close him down when he's in and around the penalty area, and that opens up space for other players, and he knows that. So he uses that to his advantage, and he plays little clever passes in and around the box, and his link up with Sonny yesterday, with him passing Sonny, he was unlucky not to maybe get an assist with a through ball in the early exchanges and some really clever passes in around the penalty area. I thought he was pretty brilliant, and then obviously he got a really cool finish for his goal, his first goal in front of the Spurs fans as well, which was a really nice sight to see. Really,
it's actually mad, that, isn't it? Like before yesterday, 7 goal contributions all away from home.
Yeah, which, look, obviously we need that away from home, which is great in its own right that he's stepping up. But it's also great that, and it's not like he's been bad at home. He just hasn't had the goal contributions. And looking at the goal as well, I watched it again, and it was actually a lot more smarter finish than maybe people get credit for, because he gets a tiny little lift and bend on that finish, where a lot of players in that position will maybe slide it along the floor. But if you see the finish, he actually lifts it a tiny bit, curls it around Leno's leg, and just gives him no chance to save it. And it was a really nice, tidy finish into the corner. And knowing Maddison, look, he's on 3 goals already. I want to see him hit 10 this season, because we know he's got that ability to do that.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt he'll hit 10 goals this season, and he's already on 5 assists. He's
8 goal contributions in
8 goals, 3 goals. Is that 3 goals?
3 goals and 5 assists.
Like, if he's already on 8 at this stage of the season, where we're just under a quarter of a way through, what do you reckon he's going to end up on?
25, hopefully.
25.
At least, hopefully.
I think that's what Invert the Wing says, doesn't he? Or no, he says 25. He says Son 25 goal plus. And Maddison, I think he said 10 goals.
Whatever Invert the Wing says is probably going to come through.
Yeah,
so,
but let's move on to Richarlison. Sims gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought it was his best 45-minute period of the season. This in the first half, he was very much involved in everything that we were doing. Lovely little assist for Heung-min Son as well, where Heung-min Son obviously had the rest to do after that, which he did really well. But his link-up play with Udogie on the left-hand side was top-notch. he did kind of not really get into the game in the second half. But I thought for that first half performance alone, that's why I rated him an 8.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with him. Again, I think it marks his upturn in form and his improvement. I think he's getting better and more confidence as the games go on, which is really great. I think ever since he's come back from that international break where, he had a few home truths, but he had had to open up about a few things. I think his form that's definitely been a weight off his shoulder, I feel, and I think you can see the improvement in him. And I think playing on the left hand side, I thought he did a really good job in that first half, being a nuisance for Fulham. He was constantly an option. He was linking up with Udogie, got a really good assist. He had a nice effort on the edge of the box, which just flashed just past the post, which was a nice effort from him as well. Had an effort in the second half, which he blazed over the bar, which he probably should have done better with. But he's just getting more involved in the play and getting more involved in the chance creation and the finishing as well. And I just hope that he can get a 1 or 2 goals to his name and he can get on a good run, because we know he's a good finisher. We know he can get goals in this league. He's shown it before for Everton. So I think his goal return will come if he keeps getting in these positions. But I think his performance level is improving. And I didn't think he was amazing, but I was much happier with him again than I was at the beginning of the season.
And 4 goal contributions in his last 6 games. It's nothing to be sniffed at. That is a really good return for someone who everyone is berating all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm really happy for Rishi and his performance yesterday. Let's move on to Dejan Kulusevski. 7s all round for Dejan, and I think look, it wasn't a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination and did a really important work for the team, but I just get a bit frustrated with his end product and his inability to shoot sometimes and not laying off as well as crosses as we know that he can do. But what he does do well for the team is his off the ball, his ball retention as well, and being just a sheer physical presence up there on that right hand side of the attack. So there's good and there's bad in there from Kulusevski, but we know that he can get much better than what he's showing.
Yeah, I think so. I think you always watch him and you always feel like he's got a bit more to give when it comes to his ability in the final third to set up a goal or score a goal. And I think this season has been a bit of an example of that. But I just really appreciate the really good role he does for the team with his ball carrying ability and getting into the penalty area and keeping ball and his ball retention, keeping the ball away from his opposition fullback and making sure that we're progressing the ball up the pitch. It's much more easier said than done. And not many players have that ability that he does to do that on such a regular basis. So I do appreciate that, but definitely in this game specifically, he had a few chances to pull the trigger in front of goal and hesitated a few times, and the chance ultimately goes begging, and we didn't end up getting goals from those opportunities. But he did set up a couple of opportunities, one especially for Richarlison that first half, which was a really good breakaway, and that was a nice pick out from him. But if he's not getting goal contributions, people are going to get a bit frustrated, and that happened.
And last but not least of the starting 11, Heung-min Son, our captain, a goal and an assist on the day. Both of them really nice, to be honest. The goal he took so well, smashed it into the top right hand side of the corner. The assist, how he laid it onto Maddison, I thought was top notch. But it wasn't just that. I thought his link up play, him finding those pockets of space as the number 9 position, were all to a really high level. And he's growing and growing and growing in this number 9 position. And he's made it his own, hasn't he? After the first 2 games of the season where Richarlison played that role and didn't really do much there. And as soon as Son has been in that position since Burnley, scoring that hat-trick that day, he's just made that role his own, and I couldn't be happier because the finishing that he does show, and the finish, he's just so clinical. He did miss a chance earlier on in the first half, but he got his goal, he got an assist, and we couldn't ask for much more.
Yeah, it's a bit weird to think about. If you look back at the first 3 games of the season, we're actually playing the same front 3 that we did now. We just swapped Son and Richarlison. It's kind of taken Richarlison's loss of form and then Solomon to come in and Son to go to centre, then Richarlison to come back in the team to kind of fully kind of find out how we want to play in the forward line. And I think Son, look, he's absolutely excelling at the moment. There's no doubt about it. We know he's the best finisher in the Premier League, or one of at least, or in Europe especially, with his amazing finishing. He proved that again against Fulham. But a big question mark is always going to be around how can he adapt his game to get more involved in build-up play? Can he bring other players into play? Well, 4 key passes in the game, which is more than anyone else apart from Maddison, tells you that definitely he can.
I love that's the stat now, just apart from Maddison, just because Maddison is just too good.
Well, it's level with Maddison, actually. It's both on 4. But yeah, 100%, of course. 3 out of 4 dribbles as well completed, which shows he's able to get on the ball and take people on and still have that ability in his game as well, even in the central area. And what I love about him at the moment is his little... Because one of the biggest criticisms I had of Richarlison in the first few weeks is when the ball is fired into him and he's asked to keep possession, either do a little layoff or hold possession away from the opposition. He just wasn't capable of doing it. He lacked quality in doing it. And what Son is showing is he has that quality and ability to bring other players into play, have little smart layoffs which look easy to do, but you have to do it consistently, and it really does help progress the play and bring other players into the forward line as well. And he's doing an exceptional job. And maybe, him being the captain and having that more sense of responsibility for the team is bring that side of him out of him a bit more. Or maybe he's been working on it a bit more, because it's really something he's starting to excel at. Obviously, he's not a striker who's going to be getting on the end of things from crosses and things like that, especially with his head, and be out muscling defenders, but he's using his strengths, and we're playing to his strengths, and that is quick movement, passes into feet, trying to get shots off as quickly as possible with his finishing ability, and it's working a treat. 7 goals in 9 games, 8 goal contributions as well. Brilliant assist for Maddison, really nice layoff as well for him, which goes to show how good those layoffs have been. So another really strong display from Heung-min Son, and you know what, if he carries on this kind of form, who knows, why can't he challenge Haaland?
I have no reason why he can't. He absolutely can. I mean, Haaland doesn't seem... Maybe I know he's still getting goals, and 8 goals this season, but I don't know. He doesn't seem as maybe it's the De Bruyne factor. Maybe because he doesn't have De Bruyne with him supplying him the balls, but he doesn't seem the same as he was last season.
I mean, we're talking about him struggling, but he's still in the top goal scorer in the league.
Yeah.
But look, you never know with Haaland.
He's missed like 9 key chances.
He has, and that's also something to point out. The fact that he's challenging Haaland, yet Son has yet to miss a big opportunity this season, and Haaland has missed 9. So that just goes to show. Was that one in the
first half not considered a big opportunity?
I don't think so, because it wasn't an easy chance, even though he was 1-on-1, but he was stretching. I don't think it counts as a big opportunity. So I'm not saying it wasn't a good opportunity, but I don't think it counts technically as a big one. But I think it just goes to show his unbelievable finishing ability, and the difference in the level of the amount of chances Haaland gets compared to Son. I think that is that shows how amazing his finishing ability is, that he's still keeping pace for Haaland.
Yeah, so true. Let's move on to the subs and start off with Ollie Skip. 6 all rounds for us. He came on with around half an hour to go for Pape Matar Sarr. Look, I think Skip put himself about a lot, and he was putting in challenges, and he was really combative, and you definitely knew he was there. But I thought his passing let him down on the day. I mean, how many times was there some wayward passing there? And I thought after those subs were made on the hour mark, we did look a bit more disjointed than when Pape Sarr was in the middle of the park there. So I don't think it was a great performance by Skip, but it wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I think he came into the team at a point in the game where we were struggling as a team to kind of keep the ball, and he was maybe also symptomatic of that. I don't think he was particularly great. I don't think he was particularly bad either. I thought he put a shift in and was there to be counted for off the ball, and really helped us see out the result. Off on the ball, did lack a bit of quality, I have to say. Wasn't really his best display on the ball, but I wasn't too unhappy with what he did to allow us to see out the result.
And last but not least, the last player that we're going to rate is Emerson Royale, who also came on around, what was it? He came on for a Dogi, didn't he? 10 minutes in to the second half. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I actually thought he was good, Emerson. sometimes he was on the right, sometimes he was on the left. I didn't know which position he was actually playing in. But the only reason I marked him up to a 7 because I thought he made some really good blocks later on in the game to maybe where Fulham could have got themselves back in the game. And I thought Emerson did a really good job.
Yeah, he defensively, he came on and was pretty solid. I didn't think he was particularly good on the ball when he was on the left-hand side. I think he struggled to know what to do with it or how to really approach the play. When he was on the left-hand side, it seemed to be a bit lost. He was a bit lost on the ball when he was on that left-hand side. Not too many issues when he was on the right. But yeah, I think he did some good defensive work. I just think on the ball we lost a lot. On the ball, so yeah, we lost a lot when he was on it. But pretty much that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And let's finish off talking about big Ange Postecoglou. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. And I did have 8 written down, but I bumped him up 1 just because of the stat of him being the best manager ever in the Premier League after the first 9 games. 23 points. I think the best under him was a chap called Mike Walker and Gus Hiddink for Chelsea as well. And it's an unbelievable stat when you think about it, when you think about all the great managers that have been in the Premier League. To have the most points ever after 9 games, after your first 9 games in the Premier League is absolutely sensational. He's changed the face of this club from top to bottom. In this game specifically, I don't think it was probably our best game of the season, but it was a very comfortable game. And that was down to the tactics that Ange Postecoglou deploys. I think every player has come on leaps and bounds, and you're seeing maybe you saw Ange being a bit angry and a bit downhearted about the way that we were playing in that second half. And I'd love to see that after a 2-0 win, still having the criticism of where you don't think things are good enough. And to be top of the league, 2 points clear, 9 games in, you can only have praise for the man.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm delighted that he's keeping himself and the team to high standards even after a 2-0 victory where we've gone top of the league after 9 games. He's still saying, look, that wasn't good enough. We need to improve this. And I think it's a good time to do it in a way because when you've got a win like that, I think, and everyone's buzzing going top of the league and you're in great form, I think it's a good time just to let the players know we can't stop here. Like, there are so many things you need to improve and this wasn't good enough. Like, in this second half, you didn't do what you should be doing on the ball. And I think after a win, it's probably a good time to send that message because after a loss, maybe players are dejected and they're not happy with the situation. And maybe that's the time to maybe throw your arm around the shoulder and tell them how they can improve rather than after a win tell them how great they are. Maybe now's a good time to because I think they're maybe more receptive to that message when they're in a good mood. And I would say in this specific game, the game management wasn't amazing, but it was fine. It obviously got the job done with 1-2-0. Wasn't a massive problem. I just felt like the subs that we made in that second half did make us a bit disjointed. Obviously, the Udogie one's a bit forced into, and that definitely didn't help us.
Was too as well.
And the Sarr one as well. But I felt like though he made a triple change right at the end, and all 3 of them really failed to get involved in it. Apart from maybe Lo Celso, I thought Valise and Brennan Johnson couldn't really get too involved in the game, and we really struggled to keep possession for that last 15 minutes, and we allowed Fulham to dominate possession. But that's nitpicking, I would say. I think by and large, the team played really well. There was barely any bad performances in the team. I thought the first half we were pretty exceptional, how we dominated Fulham, and we should have been more than a goal up, and maybe we're talking about something different if we were. And more good stuff from Ange Postecoglou, so very few complaints from me.
Yeah, and still unbeaten after 9 games in the Premier League. But that is our player ratings. Let me know your ratings in the comments section below. And let's get to a super chat before we move on to the 5 takeaways. And this is from Tom Witten, and he says, Richarlison should come on as a sub. Brennan or Manor should start. Glad to see Grandpa at the game. Grandpa was loving it yesterday. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm sure you can tell us more about Grandpa. But in terms of who should start ahead of Richarlison, Manor Solomon is obviously injured for the next 3 to 4 months. But Brennan Johnson, I mean, would you like to see Brennan come in for the Palace game?
I think you keep Richie in. I don't see a reason to take him out. I think he's playing well enough to stay in the team. And if he's not doing well, then you can bring on Brennan. I think in that specific game as well, how Palace like to play, I think it's probably is a bit more suited to Richarlison than a Brennan right now, especially off the left-hand side where I think Richarlison is more comfortable there than Brennan. I think Brennan likes him more on the right. So I think, there's no need to bring, in my opinion, look, there's another week's training this week, so that's up to Ange to see. I don't know. I'm not in training. I don't know who's looking sharper or not, but if I'm basing on performances, I think there's no real reason to take Richarlison out right now.
Would you say maybe like keep Richarlison in here for the Palace game and then maybe bring in a Brennan for the Chelsea game where they naturally play a bit more of a higher line and there'll be more gaps?
Yeah, it probably makes more sense. Unless Richarlison has an absolute blinder against Palace, then I would say that makes sense.
All right, let's move on to the 5 takeaways where we take a look at the game and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. And first up, we're going to be looking at Hojbjerg stepping in.
Yeah, and there was a lot of obviously conversation going into this game about Pierre Hojbjerg coming in for Bissouma. Bissouma obviously serving that 1-match suspension after the red card against Luton, and he'd been such an important player this season for us. And there were question marks whether having Hojbjerg in that position would make a big difference to how we approach the game. And I would say there was a difference, but we did things in a different way, and different doesn't mean worse, it just means different, and that's what Hojbjerg provided us. Obviously 95% passing accuracy, 4 out of 7 ground duels, 4 out of 5 long passes as well, completed the interception for the second goal, which allowed us to see out the game. And I thought by and large throughout the game he was pretty impeccable. He was strong, he was a leader in that central midfield, and I thought he stepped in for Bissouma really, really well, and I was really happy for him. And he didn't do things that Bissouma does, but he just did his job in a different way, and he showed that he can be a functional part in that number 6 position under Postecoglou if given the opportunity.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that when you see how vital and important Bissouma is to us every single game, I mean, we've said it a number of times on this channel that we dread to think what happens when Bissouma comes out this team. Well, we saw it for the first time this season in terms of a Premier League game, and I thought Hojbjerg stepped up admirably well, to be honest, and I was super impressed and appreciated his passing ability, especially those long-range passes that he was doing on the day, and I couldn't have asked for more from Pierre as well. Nearly got on the score sheet as well with a bit of a pile driver from that layoff from Maddison, which I thought was a good effort, and had his hand in the first goal as well, being aggressive, or second goal, sorry, being aggressive in the middle of the park and playing the ball quickly to Heung-min Son. So brilliant stuff from Pierre. Let's move on to the second takeaway, and that is elite Sonny.
Yeah, and again, Heung-min Son showing his elite finishing ability and showing why he is a world-class forward and why he's an absolute elite finisher. He scored his 7th goal of the season yesterday from only 3.5 expected goals, which is an incredible overperformance yet again of expected goals, which happens season after season after season. I don't think there's been a season where apart from maybe last season, where I haven't double checked, but even last season I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think there's been a season where he hasn't really seriously outperformed his expected goals, and that just goes to show his level of finishing. But he's not just a goal scorer. He had 4 key passes on the day, which again shows his creative ability coming to the fore, which I think this season has come on another level. When he actually obviously got the assist from Maddison's, the second goal with Maddison, completed 3 of his 4 dribbles as well, and overall 8 goal contributions in 9 games for Heung-min Son, keeping pace with Erling Haaland, who has I think 9 Premier League goals at the moment. He's just doing an exceptional job in the forward line, and he really is elite, and I think he deserves even. I still think now when people talk about him, they don't talk about him as one of the best strikers in the Premier League, and I think he deserves that respect.
Yeah, he definitely deserves that respect. I mean, when you're scoring as many goals as he is doing with the chances that he's getting, it's just unbelievable. It really is. He's leading by example, one of the best captains we've seen in a while at Spurs. And he's just such a wholesome character, Heung-min Son. You know, you look at him and your heart can't not be full, because he's just such an amazing person to look at, to watch on the pitch, to see off the pitch. His leadership qualities, everything about him is just unbelievable. And as much as he's been great in a Spurs shirt and he's been unbelievable and playing to an elite level before this season, I feel that he's just getting so much better. And age is treating him well, in my opinion. So lovely performances from Heung-min Son on and off the pitch.
I think he's doing what all good players do, and that's adapt your game as you go older to kind of match your age. I think Kane's done that. People like Salah have done that. Ronaldo did that. He changed position with his age. Messi's done that. And I think we start they're all question marks, I think, whether Son could do it. Is his game too much reliant on pace and all that kind of stuff? And I think he's showing that it isn't, and that he's got other qualities. And even he's still quick, obviously. I'm not saying he's lost his pace, but even without his pace, he's still got so much to offer.
He's just got such a smart football brain, hasn't he? His football IQ is really high, and I don't think people maybe gave him enough credit for that in previous seasons. So big up to Heung-min Son. Let's move on to number 3, and that is reliable venom.
Yeah, and another really important display from Vicario yesterday, and 2 crucial saves, which especially at 0-0, an exceptional save from Paulinho, which could be a completely different game if Vicario lets that in. But considering the way we play, and sometimes, you do concede chances to your opposition, you need a goalkeeper to bail you out in those opportunities to allow you to keep sustaining that pressure on the opposition and keep on top of them. The fact that we play with so much possession, and then we concede the few chances that we do. And when we do, he has an 84% save percentage, which is the best in the Premier League. When it comes to post-shot expected goals, which is a metric to decide how many goals you should be saving, he has prevented 3.3 goals, which is second in the Premier League only to the Wolves goalkeeper, Jose Sars, which goes to, and when you couple that with the fact that I think we're mid-table for the amount of shots we're conceding. That's a really impressive stat that he's conceded 3 goals and not conceded 3 goals in those positions. And he made 2 crucial saves yesterday. And he's really stepping in when we need him to, even though he's not being tested that much. He's when called upon, he's making big saves at big opportunities, and that's a really important role for a goalkeeper, especially when you're playing in a possession-based side like us.
His shot-stopping ability is unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. You're seeing him make those saves where I kind of compare it to I've made this comparison before, but I kind of compare it to like Gomez in that unbelievable season he had for us, when he tipped on Van Persie's free kick over the bar and stuff like that season, when he was just unbelievable, making saves where he just had no right to make at times. And I feel like Vicario's shot-stopping ability is that similar level and that kind of style as well. I do think his playing out the back needs a bit of work, but it's not really hindering us, which is something to be said. But I just can't praise him enough in terms of his mentality, his kind of personality that comes off on the squad, and also his goalkeeping ability in terms of shot saving ability is second to none. So I think he's unbelievable.
Yeah, and to add on to his shot saving ability, what I really like about him so far is when shots are coming in on him, there's been very little spillages, like saves back into dangerous positions and stuff like that, like you see with maybe Onana and things like that. Very few handling issues. I think his handling has been pretty exceptional so far in his Spurs shirt, and I think I'm just delighted with how he's playing.
You wouldn't have found one fan of Manchester United or even Tottenham before the season started to say that Vicario is better than Onana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you find a fan that says Onana is better than Vicario?
Only people who haven't seen Vicario play.
Yeah, literally. And what about the whole David Raya situation as well? Like he seems to be not performing well at Arsenal at the moment. Yeah, and we went for Vicario because we couldn't get Raya, and I couldn't be happier as Vicario is our goalkeeper right now. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to number 4, and that is Richarlison upturn.
Yeah, and I really think he's been improving over the last few weeks, and it's now, I think in his last 6 games, I think it's 2 goals and 3 assists. I think in all competitions, maybe I think that's with the Carabao Cup game. Oh, sorry, that's also this season. This season now. That's this season. 6 starts, 2 goals and 3 assists in all competitions, which it's not. Look, that's not a bad record. That's 5 goal contributions in 6 starts. Albeit one of the goals was off the bench against Sheffield United. But yesterday, obviously, one key pass.
He came on and completely changed that game. By the way,
100%.
Golden assist with a 2-1 win in the last minute.
Exactly. I thought yesterday was more evidence of an upturn in form. He had 1 key pass, 3 shots, won 3 of his 7 ground duels, and obviously got that assist to break the deadlock as well. And he was not only was he really good on the ball and linking up with Udogi and good part of our good foot play going forward. But off the ball, he was working tirelessly, getting in blocks and running, chasing back the fullback Castagna many times as well, drawing fouls from Castagna as well on a few occasions. And I really think the last few games there are big signs of improvement for Richarlison. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, I'd agree with everything that you said, and I think he is impacting games well at the moment. But he needs to find his shooting boots. He really does. The 2 chances he missed at Luton in the first 10 minutes of the game, and yesterday as well, he missed a 1 or 2 gilt-edged chances. So I think he's impacting games, but once he gets into that 6-yard box and he's asked to finish, he needs to be doing better in those situations. But look, you got to give him praise for continuing to improve. That's the main takeaway.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the 5th and final takeaway is Ange breaks record.
Yeah, and obviously after the win yesterday, Tottenham sit top with 23 points out of a possible 27, and that is a new Premier League record for a new manager coming into a Premier League team for their first 9 games, which is absolutely exceptional. Considering how many managers have come into the Premier League, the fact that Postecoglou has beaten all of them after 9 games and he's been able to set that record just is more evidence of what an amazing start to the season he has had at Spurs and what an impact he has made. And look, he's proving everyone wrong at the moment. He's proving all the doubters wrong. We're playing amazing football. We're getting results, and even results like yesterday where maybe it wasn't the best game of football you ever see in terms of how we played, but sometimes, not every game can be thrills and spills like Liverpool and Sheffield United with last-minute winners. Sometimes you need to have just those consistent wins where you just manage the game and you get a couple of goals and you see it out, and that's what we did yesterday. Maybe we're showing signs of consistency.
We're definitely showing signs of consistency when we haven't lost a game in 9 and we've only drawn 2 as well. And both those draws, first game of the season, first game for Ange, a draw at Brentford, nothing, too bad about that. And then going to the Emirates and taking a point where, a lot of people said we could have won that game as well. So you're definitely seeing consistency in there. But in terms of that record, I think it's super impressive. Not just for someone to come in and do that, but with the whole story surrounding everything. You're losing Harry Kane, and who's your best player for the past 10 years or whatever it may be. Club was depressed, the fans were depressed, the players were depressed. There was no way that you could say this is our defined style of playing football. We'd been in the trenches with Conte and Mourinho and Nuno without seeing any light at the end of the tunnel. And he's just come in straight away, brought in players that were out in the dark a little bit last season with his new signings as well. And to have that record and to sit top of the league at this stage of the season, I don't think anyone's praise could be high enough for Ange Postecoglou and the work that he has done at this football club. So big up to Ange, because it's just been absolutely sensational. It really has. Everything has changed since he's come in this football club. The atmosphere in every single game has been electric. The football has been electric, and the results have been electric. So that is our 5 takeaways. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding our takeaways. If we have missed anything, if you have keyed out a takeaway from the game, let us know in the comments section below. But let's get on to see how Twitter or X reacted.
One sec, my laptop's not charging for some reason.
Sim needs to put his laptop on charge before we
I don't want my laptop to die during Twitter Reacts.
Move on.
There we go.
But let's start that one again. Let's go and see how Twitter reacted to the game yesterday. 2-0 win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the hands of Fulham. And let's bring it on. So what have we got first up? I need to open up my Twitter actually.
There we go. It's
Raj Chauhan saying Son is one of the best finishers in the world. I feel like he does not get the stated enough as a fact because he's so often playing as a left winger. XG overperformance due to finishes to that style season after season after season. And that is absolutely spot on. That is a 100% spot on. And when you're looking at comparing the XG to Haaland, for example, like Haaland has missed 9 big chances this season. 9 big chances. Son ain't missing those 9 chances, not by any stretch of the imagination. So do you think that if Son, we made this comparison so many times last season with Harry Kane, but I think it's only fair to make it with Heung-min Son this season. And if he was in that Man City team and he's getting those chances that Haaland's getting, how many goals is Sonny on this season?
Yeah, probably like 20. I don't know. No, but the difference between Son and Haaland isn't the finishing ability, it's their physicality. So it's a bit similar to Kane, but the reason why Haaland will always probably get more goals than Son isn't because he's a better finisher, it's because he's a bit quicker, he's stronger, and so he's always going to get himself more chances than Son. So whenever they get in that position, if Son and Haaland are both going through one-on-one, I actually think Son's probably a better finisher than Haaland. But Haaland's going to get in that position 4 or 5 times even a game, whereas Son's probably only get 1 or 2. So that's the difference.
Next up is Lee McQueen. He says, there is no way. Is there? And, look at that smile. Look at that smile.
Oh, he thinks there is.
He
thinks there's a way.
He's showing up the number 1. Lee. We all know what's on your mind, Lee. We all know.
Big up, Lee.
But yeah, big up Lee McQueen. Lily White Rose says, we are back. Rival fans are checking on our run-in. And this was, what is this, an Arsenal account?
Yeah, it's an Arsenal fan.
Just screenshotting our run-in in April. Why the hell
they've been scrolling?
Why the hell are they scrolling and looking at our run-in in April?
But I love it. They've been looking at like, okay, shit, they're all right in Jan, they're all right in March, they're all right in their February is all right. Okay, April, there's a run. There we go. They've been scrolling doing a lot of scrolling to get there.
To be fair,
you keep watching.
It's not that we didn't do that last season.
No, definitely not. Of course not. But look, as long as they're checking our run-ins, it means we're doing something right.
Yeah, 100%. Raj Chohan says Spurs fan base needs to do up more PR for their players. Every other Big Six fan base would have had Son comp propagated all over the internet by now. Can't find anyone anywhere.
Who's got the Son compilations? Come on.
We want to see our timelines on Twitter just filled with Son
Someone
compilations.
tag us in a nice Son compilation from yesterday. I'd love to see it. This is from a Liverpool fan. Raj is a Liverpool fan.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Fair enough. The Fighting Cock responding to Squawker's tweet saying, Ange Postecoglou, the first ever manager in Premier League history to win 23 plus points in his first 9 games in charge in the competition, mate. And Fighting Cock saying, could we? Could we?
Nah. But could we? Nah. But
you never know. You never know. Fabrizio Romano saying Tottenham fans loving life under Ange Postecoglou, appointed just 140 days ago. It feels like ages ago for Spurs. And this is a video of that George Bannister.
Look at that. Bannister getting Romano prop. Unreal.
At the game yesterday. And look, this is becoming just like a
normal thing.
A normal thing, just like everyone bashing on the thing, singing the Ange Postecoglou song. I mean, it was few and far between last season. I think it only happened against Chelsea last season.
This is like a standard win against Fulham, a 2-0 home win on Monday night. You expected everyone to go home after this. And it wasn't even like a spectacular win either. It was just like a standard win. And the fans are still absolutely buzzing, going top of the league. And this is showing what Ange has done to this club and the fan base. Unbelievable.
I'm sorry, but the vibes at Spurs at the moment are just unmatched.
Yeah,
they
it's absolutely
really
incredible, and everyone is loving life at the moment.
This next one is from Spursy Dave saying Cuti Romero's love language is violence. I love that.
And this is Romero after the. He just loves hitting people, doesn't he, Romero?
You see it so many times, not just for Spurs, but Argentina. He just comes over, either like knee someone or whack someone.
He just loves it. It means he likes you. That means he likes you if he hits you.
If he comes and gives you a hug or something, that means he better be careful. George Bannister with another tweet here showing the Spurs fans showing their appreciation. James Maddison leading the team around the stadium after the game, which was great to see. And I love Vicario. Vicario is always in and amongst it as well.
Yeah, he's become such a fan favourite, hasn't he, Vicario, with how he's been in his celebrations and how he's approached the fans after games as well. So yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant, and it's great to see the fans again. The players, after every game, coming over to the fans and showing their appreciation. It's just so nice to see.
When you think about it, and you think about the classic Spurs 11 with Bissouma in there, I think 10 out of those 11 players have all become fan favourites. Every single
it's
one.
Hard not to.
Vicario, Udogie, Porro, Van de Ven, Romero, Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison, Son, Kulusevski.
And just Richarlison. Come on, Rishi. You'll be a fan favourite in no time. Don't doubt
This is H2MUFC.
Man United fan he is.
Yeah, proper number 6 performance. Loved every minute of it, showing Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg's pass map yesterday, which I was super impressed with Pierre yesterday, and that's a key reason why, because of the elite passing ability that he was showing yesterday.
Yeah, and he's always been a high volume passer. He's always been amongst one of our highest passers, even last season in a 2-man midfield. So no surprise he's able to do it like yesterday. And that pass off, I think, shows how important he was in that aspect.
Yeah. Axel THFC showing the weekly goals and assists update in the Spurs 11, and you can see there every single player in that starting 11 bar Bissouma and obviously the goalkeeper Vicario has had a goal contribution this season.
Unbelievable. And they're racking
got
them
one
up.
assist, which I think Porro should actually be doing better than that, just 1 assist, but he's still having a really good season. Romero 2 goals, Van de Ven a goal, Adogi 2 assists, Pape Matar a goal and an assist, Bissouma with nothing, Kulusevski 2 goals, Maddison 5 assists and 3 goals, Richarlison 1 goal 3 assists, and Sonny 7 goals 1 assist. And that just shows what we were saying before the season started. It's like you lose Harry Kane, but it becomes much more about the team, and that's evidence of it.
Exactly, with sharing the goals around, albeit Son and Maddison account for a big chunk of the goal contributions, but everyone's chipping in, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and it's great to see that Bissouma is that one without the goal contribution, but he's one of the ones that we've sung our praises higher than a lot of players.
Exactly, which goes to show even if they're not scoring, they're still very
impacting
important.
a lot. Yeah, Vicario and Son at the full time, lovely embrace there.
Yeah, I'm loving Vicario and Sonny after games at the moment. Love to see that.
Yeah,
absolutely love to see that.
And that's what I'm talking about. Whenever you see Son, it's just wholesome content every single time.
He's just got that. You can't not love that smile.
Yeah.
That smile's infectious.
It really is. Spurs Army saying Sandro is fully coys. A tweet from TikTok from the Spurs Hub, and look at that.
Brilliant.
Look at
this
Sandro
is after the game when the
time.
music
He's
was
at
on.
every game these days.
He's loving it. He's loving life, and he's dancing as if he's in a nightclub. It's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You just got to love Sandro. What a guy.
What a guy. This is Paul O'Keefe saying, easy to try and discredit this, but people forget he inherited a club and a team in turmoil and sold their best striker the club have had in modern era. The Premier League is unforgiving regardless of opposition. There will be bumps along the way, but the progress can't be argued, and that's absolutely spot on. And that's just Opta Joe bringing up that stat again, 23 points out of his first 9 games.
And Paul O'Keefe's spot on.
Yeah, he is spot on. And it's kind of proven when you look at maybe Pochettino and his start to life at Chelsea, right? Yeah, fine, the form is starting to get a little bit better now, but he had a really hard, not getting wins against teams you really fully expect Chelsea to get wins against. So it's no easy feat by doing this. And I see a lot of fans being like, oh, but Spurs haven't played anyone yet and all this kind of stuff. But I think that is kind of absolutely pointless stat, because when you're coming in to a club that was in as big a turmoil as Spurs were, on top of that, losing your best player where everything went through over the past couple of seasons, you can't discredit anything that Postecoglou's doing.
Yeah, and the fact he's done it so quickly and got everyone playing the way that we want to be playing, and the fact that he's got everyone on board and the quality's there, I think it just goes to show what an amazing job he's doing. And even the best managers, it's hard for them to make such an instant impact. So the fact that Postecoglou's done it can't be sniffed at. I don't think it can be discredited. And I think it's fantastic. But the question is, can he keep it up? And that'll obviously always be the question until we see what happens.
Next up is Ryan showing his support for Manor Solomon yesterday. Tottenham with a tweet saying just James Maddison. That's all they said, James Maddison.
Yeah, look at that. It's a great video, great picture again. I love these iconic pictures coming out of Spurs at the moment. Brilliant
Football
stuff.
on TNT say James Maddison has his first goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in home colours. What a season he is having. It's just unbelievable. It really is. And we all said when we signed Maddison, look at the numbers that he's producing in a Leicester team that nearly got relegated. And if he's in this Tottenham team, the numbers will go up even. And we're seeing that in front of our eyes right now, aren't we?
Yeah, no, I think he's finally getting the credit he deserves. Because I think he's probably been a bit better than he was at Leicester, but he was still brilliant at Leicester. And he was putting in pretty consistent, high quality performances. And maybe he wasn't getting the credit his performances deserved because he was at a team who maybe not as big as Tottenham, it's fair to say. But now he's doing it. I even remember De Bruyne was at the beginning of the season, he was on Sky Sports and he was on the Saturday Social. He was asked to rank Odegaard, Bruno, and Maddison. He put Maddison third. He said he's a good player, but I want to see how he does in a big team. So you can see how it gets into the mind of even like Premier League players and how they need to see them doing it on a bigger stage to give him more credit. And now that we're seeing that, and I think he deserves all the credit because he's been exceptional. And
like, have you ever seen like a player come into a team and straight away just become one of their best players and main players and everything goes through like an impact? That I haven't seen a player like have an impact like Maddison has had at Tottenham for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was going through with you from Tottenham's point of view, the best starts for a signing in terms of goal contributions after 8 games. I think Maddison probably sits around, I think it was second, but like apart from second to Jurgen Klinsmann. But he's just made an unbelievable start. And even in the Premier League, I can't think, like maybe there was Van der Vaart for us. I can't think of too many players who just hit the ground running so emphatically. Off the top of my head,
obviously.
Haaland, obviously, yeah, he's the obvious choice. I'm trying to think, like even like Henry, he took a while to get in. Salah hit the ground running pretty quickly. I'm trying to think about the best players in the Premier League. But
the players that you're talking about are elite players.
These are like the best of the best.
The best of the best, the creme de la creme.
Yeah, it's very rare for a player to hit the ground running like Maddison then completely fall off. Maybe Dele Alli's the only one.
But he took a while to fall off. Yeah. It wasn't like
an instant fall off. Yeah. So
like the next season, he got like 20 goals or something, 18
Yeah,
goals.
He took him about 3 or 4 years to fall off, didn't it? So I can't think of too many players who've started like this and then just not gone on to be like unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's not just the goal contributions, it's just how he impacts the play as well. It's not just goal contribution, he does so much more than that.
Yeah, he's become like a bit I mean, people think I'm being hyperbolic. I've become like a little Modric in the centre sometimes when the way he plays. Like he doesn't just provide the goal contributions. Like when he's in the centre, like in that deep line playmaking role, he's been extremely effective as well.
Yeah. Eurofoot just showing the picture of Maddison and Sonny's celebration yesterday. Maddison making a joke after the game saying Son's got the same darts action as Saka.
Yeah, you can see.
He has no business talking about darts.
You can see with Son, he like holds it like that. It's like, no, Sonny, come on, get better form. Surely Maddison's got to get him onto the darts board.
Yeah, he's got to. With a bromance between these two.
And also not just on the pitch as well, like their relationship
straight away.
Yeah, it's literally as if Kane never left in terms of that relation. Honestly, they're linking up like consistently every week.
Yeah. The Fighting Cock saying could get used to being top of the league, and there's a great picture of Maddison in front of that big Spurs flag.
Yeah,
saying
absolutely
up
fantastic.
Spurs.
Look at that. What a great picture. Is that photoshopped? Maybe it is. I don't know.
No, I don't think it is.
It's a great picture. If it isn't, that's a great picture.
Hotspur related saying Pierre Hojbjerg's performance is a testament to the culture that Ange Postecoglou has built. He looks eager to impress and put pressure on Bissouma rather than performing like a despondent squad player that knows he is not first choice. And again, I think that's spot on.
Yeah, and it's I think Pep Guardiola once said in an interview that the hardest thing as a manager isn't the tactics. It's not getting the team to play the way you want. The hardest thing is keeping players happy who aren't playing. That is the one single hardest thing as being a Premier League manager. And if Postecoglou can do that, that goes to show how amazing his man management skills are.
Yeah, it's absolutely spot on, especially in a season like this as well, when we've got such a few games. Like next season, hopefully when we're in Europe and back in Carabao Cup and have a lot more games, it'll be much more easier to keep players like that are on the periphery a bit more happy because we're seeing more games and more players will need more rests and everything like that. But to do it in a season like this, I know it's only 9 games in and things might unravel a bit differently later on in the season if players aren't given their chance. But to keep players happy in a season like this, I think is unbelievable. Really is. Luca THFC says unbelievable, and here's the stat from SofaScore, I think it is individual scores of James Maddison. So starting off with Sheffield United 8.2, Arsenal 7.7. I don't understand how that's 7.7.
Yeah, he got 2 assists.
It was unbelievable that game. Liverpool 8, Luton 8.5, and Fulham 8.4. So,
and I remember I looked at this from the start of the season, and apart from Man United at home and the Arsenal game, he hasn't had below an 8.1. So
unreal.
And even in those
the
games,
Arsenal game shouldn't have been.
And that Arsenal game should be an 8, and the Man United game he got 7.6. So it's not like he played badly either.
I even think the Arsenal game should be higher than 8. To be honest,
he's just been so unbelievable.
Yeah. This Twitter react today is just a Madison loving.
Yeah, come on.
Honest. Lily White Rose saying Erling Haaland is the only player with more goals in the Premier League than Heung-min Son this season.
But how long for? That's the question.
Yeah, a couple of goals at Palace, and that does it.
Exactly.
He's level with him. Fighting Cock saying, oh, hello, with a picture of the Premier League table. Now, all the Arsenal fans can't be like, oh, we're joint top of the league now. We're joint top of the league.
2 points clear. We could go 5 points if we beat Palace, which would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
But look at that gap to Newcastle, considering Newcastle... they've had an upturn in form, haven't they? So they're looking like they're getting back to their best. But we've now built a 7-point gap from them. Yeah. And that is very significant at this stage of the season, considering they got Champions League in the midweek. I think they're still in the cup, probably. They beat City in the cup, didn't they? So they're going to have more games, especially come the second half of the season. This 7-point gap could be significant come the second half of the season. Yeah,
and with everything that's going around with Tonali as well, that could be a man down. And Arsenal play Newcastle in a couple of weeks' time as well.
Yeah, I just think I'm looking at that gap and thinking that's the important thing when I'm looking at the table now, is that like if we want that Champions League football, building up as big a gap as possible from away from 6th place is going to be really crucial. Yeah. And after 9 games to have a 7-point gap is very, very important.
Yeah, that game between Aston Villa in 3-4 weeks' time with us could be really important.
And even think of like Chelsea, who are having a bit of an upturn in form, 11 points clear of them now, which is that's very significant.
Yeah. THFC LP saying conversations need to be had over Son and how he's one of the best finishers in world football.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've been having those conversations for weeks now.
Exactly. You get with the program. That's what I would say.
Liaz Bouzidi, how do you pronounce that? Liaz Bouzidi says, all of a sudden the narrative is that Ange's job wasn't that difficult because Spurs all of a sudden have this world-class sporting hierarchy when the club didn't just lose arguably their greatest player and half the world had them finishing mid-table or bottom half. And that's so spot on because
big up Liaz.
The amount of people I spoke to before the season started, on the eve of the season starting, saying, "Oh, you've lost Harry Kane.
It's over, yeah.
How can Spurs are going to be competing with the Crystal Palaces and the Fulhams in the middle of the table and stuff?" And I was like, "What are you chatting about? Like, have you not seen us in pre-season?" And they were like, "Oh, but pre-season means nothing. How are you going to take your pre?" But I was like, "Yeah, but." Wasn't that the same for Arsenal last season? Didn't they take their pre-season form into the league and then mount a serious title challenge on the back of that? I mean, what's been the difference with Spurs?
Nothing. I think people people wanted to believe that losing Kane would be in the downfall of Tottenham, and I think if they would have looked closer and seen that Maddison coming in and how good Son can be in when Kane goes and his finishing ability, I think people also as well didn't respect Ange Postecoglou. Maybe even some Spurs fans you could put in that bracket, but I think they've all been proved wrong at the moment, and I think Liaz is absolutely spot on. Like all of a sudden we're top of the league after 9 games. All of a sudden, oh well, they had an easy run. Who they played? All this kind of stuff is going to be thrown out. But at the end of the day, like
we've nearly played half the teams in the Premier League.
Exactly. First of all, that, and we have played some hard teams. And then at the end of the day, like good teams beat who they should. That makes you a good team. If you beat who you should beat, like I don't see like Fulham beating who they should beat. You know what I mean? That because they're not good. So when they play a home to a team they should beat, sometimes they'll drop those points. But when you're consistent, that's a sign of a good team.
Yeah, and what happened to Arsenal when they played Fulham?
Exactly, they drew. So.
Tottenham with Argentinian and a heart and a South Korean emoji saying Kuti Son.
Love it. Look
Some
at
more
that.
wholesome content from Heung-min Son.
That leadership group, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, really.
Maybe
is.
a bit too close.
Never. Ollie Davis saying up the Spurs in the Spurs stadium yesterday. Big up to Ollie. Sean Lewis saying an own goal and a penalty to get a draw with Spurs, who had 2 very well worked goals as tearing the Arsenal defence apart. Yeah, Spurs didn't deserve at least a point.
I think we've gone past all the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, that is how Twitter reacted to the game yesterday. Unbelievable stuff. It was basically just a James Maddison love and a bit of a Heung-min-Son loving as well.
I'm here for it. I'm all here for it.
100%. But that brings an end to the live stream for you guys today. We'll be back. Actually, we're doing our Premier League React show on The Ball today. So go over to On The Ball. Hit that subscribe button there as well. Really does help us out. And go check out our Premier League review there a bit later on today. But thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.